It's tough, right? Seeing your kids struggle in school.
Yeah.
You want them to, love learning and do well,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it just feels like there's this invisible barrier
Yeah.
holding them back.
Absolutely.
So today, we're going to explore something you might not have even thought about.
Okay.
Visual closure.
Mm-hmm.
It's this really fascinating cognitive skill.
It is.
And it could be playing a bigger role in how your child learns than you realize.
Yeah, so visual closure,
Yeah.
it's something that I think most of us take for granted.
Right.
It's our brain's ability to just fill in missing visual information.
Oh, interesting.
Like, think about those guess the word games.
Oh, yeah.
Where you only see a few letters. Your brain kind of automatically does it.
Right. Those blanky blank E puzzles.
Exactly. You see blank U blank E,
Yeah.
and you instantly just know it's house.
Yeah.
For many kids, this just happens.
But for children with weaker visual closure skills,
Right.
it can be a real struggle.
Wow.
And this can have a big impact on their learning, especially in things like reading, writing, and math.
So how does visual closure actually affect a child's schoolwork? Like, what does that look like?
Well, imagine trying to read a sentence where some of the letters are blurry or obscured. So for a child with strong visual closure, their brain automatically fills in those missing pieces.
Okay.
And it allows them to just read smoothly.
Gotcha.
But for a child who struggles with visual closure, every single word becomes like a puzzle that they have to painstakingly piece together.
Right.
And this obviously leads to much slower reading and difficulty with comprehension.
And I was reading about this study by researchers Rayner and Polacek, and they found that skilled readers, they actually use visual closure to predict words.
Yes.
So their eyes don't even have to land on every letter.
Right.
It's like their brains are working ahead almost, which makes reading way more efficient.
Yeah, it's almost like an unconscious thing, right? They're
Right.
just doing it.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, you have those who have weaker visual closure.
Yeah.
And they might rely so heavily on sounding out every single letter.
Oh, wow.
Which you can imagine is really tiring.
It's got to be exhausting.
It makes it feel like a chore.
So it's not even just seeing the letters clearly.
Yeah.
It's about how the brain processes it.
Right.
And then uses that information to make sense of what they're reading.
It all comes down to processing, absolutely.
And this applies to other areas of learning too, right?
Yes.
Like spelling and handwriting.
Absolutely.
If a child is struggling to even visualize the whole form of a letter,
Right.
I can imagine their handwriting might be messy or incomplete, or they might not even catch those spelling errors.
That's right.
I was just reading about this research by Heath and Hogben, and they said that children with poor visual closure, they'll just guess incorrectly or just leave things blank when they're trying to, complete partially formed words.
That's fascinating.
It's like their brains aren't making those connections.
Yeah, it's almost like they're not seeing the connections, right? It's not just recognizing complete images. It's about, being able to visualize and even manipulate incomplete information, which is so essential for so many things when it comes to learning.
And it's not just letters and words, right?
No, not at all.
I imagine it affects numbers too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Math involves recognizing numbers, and sometimes those numbers are,
Right.
partially erased or written unclearly. For children with strong visual closure, it's not a big deal.
Right.
But for those who struggle, it can lead to, errors, frustration, especially as math gets more complex.
Right. And researchers Pinar and Kemp found that children with weaker visual closure, they have trouble distinguishing between numbers that look similar to like 3 and 8 or 6 and 9. And that can really, impact how they do math problems.
Absolutely. And it highlights how visual closure isn't just one skill in isolation. It works with other things like visual discrimination, spatial reasoning. It's all connected.
So it's not just this one isolated skill.
Right.
It's part of this bigger system that's affecting how they process and make sense of information.
That's right.
In all these different learning environments. Now, I'm wondering, is there a connection between visual closure and dyslexia?
That's a great question.
Especially for, if you have a child who has that diagnosis.
Yeah, so dyslexia, it's a condition that makes it harder for them to read, process language.
Right.
And visual closure definitely can play a role in those challenges.
Okay.
Schnaps and his team, actually, they found that visual closure deficits are often seen in dyslexic readers.
Okay.
And it contributes to slower reading trouble, recognizing words accurately,
Right.
and even problems with reading comprehension.
So for parents who are listening and thinking, my child has dyslexia, could this be related?
Yeah.
It's definitely something
you're looking into.
to explore further.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And understanding visual closure, it can be so empowering, right?
It is.
It's not about labeling a child.
Right,
it's about understanding their strengths and their challenges.
And then giving them the tools to help them thrive.
And that's really reassuring, especially. And the good news is that visual closure, like a lot of cognitive skills, it can be strengthened.
Yes.
With the right practice and support.
Absolutely.
It's not a fixed trait. It's something they can develop over time.
It's a skill.
Yeah. Get better.
So what can parents actually do at home to help their children build these skills?
There are a lot of fun activities that can help.
Okay.
We'll talk about those in a minute.
Okay.
But first, I kind of want to look at how visual closure impacts those everyday things you mentioned, because this is where it gets interesting. It's not just in the classroom.
Yeah.
You know, think about like recognizing faces.
Yeah.
Or, navigating a room that's full of stuff. Or even just understanding a road sign.
Right.
These all use some degree of visual closure.
I was just thinking about those hidden picture books.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have to, find the little object in a busy scene. Yeah.
If you've got that strong visual closure, your brain can pick it out.
Yeah.
But if you struggle, it all just kind of blends together.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It highlights how it's not just about like seeing clearly, it's about how our brains process the information and pick out the important stuff.
Right. It's like filtering out the background noise.
Exactly.
And that makes me think about how visual closure might be connected to problem solving.
Oh, yeah.
Especially as kids get older.
You're right. You're right. Remember Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences? Well, he talked about visual spatial intelligence, one of those core things.
And visual closure is a big part of that, right?
A huge part.
So visual spatial intelligence is that ability to like see something in your mind, turn it around.
Rotate it.
Yeah, manipulate it and see how it all fits together. And that's really important for, math, science, things like that, right?
Absolutely.
Kids who are good at visual closure, they often do well with puzzles.
Yeah.
Building even things like coding.
Right.
It's like they can see patterns and figure things out in a way that's...
it's almost intuitive.
Yeah.
It's like they're wired for it.
Yeah, and I was reading about some research by Mar and Ishihara, and they were looking at how visual closure affects those tasks that use both visual perception and motor skills.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So think about handwriting, drawing, playing sports, all these things where we have to use our eyes and our bodies together.
Right, coordinate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if that visual processing is a little off, it can make those simple things much harder.
Like you've got this disconnect between your eyes and your hands. Like imagine trying to hit a baseball if you can't really track it.
That's a great example.
Yeah, it's got to be so frustrating.
It is.
Especially for a kid who's trying so hard.
Yeah.
But not seeing those results.
And that's where understanding this becomes so important.
Right.
It's not about saying they're bad at something.
Right.
It's about knowing they might just need a different way to learn it.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
But I think what parents really want to know is what can they do to help their kids with visual closure?
Yeah, the activity.
Or there specific things they can try at home?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, one of the best ones, and it's so simple.
Okay.
Dot to dot.
Oh, yeah. The classic.
It's a classic. It makes them visualize the whole picture just based on a few dots.
And they come in so many varieties now.
I know.
You can find them for little kids, older kids, all sorts of interests. Like animals or dinosaurs or...
You can even find famous landmarks. It's great.
And speaking of interests,
another
thing is those guess the word games.
Oh, those are fun.
Yeah, where you show like one letter at a time.
Yeah, or a picture.
Or part of a picture.
With pieces missing.
Yeah.
It's like a brain teaser.
It is.
For their visual skills.
And you can make it a competition.
Okay.
Yeah, see who can guess it with the fewest clues.
Exactly.
And puzzles are great too, right?
Puzzles are fantastic.
Yeah.
Jigsaws, tangrams.
Yeah.
Even those 3D ones.
Right, those wooden ones.
That makes them see how the pieces fit together.
Right.
Who doesn't love a puzzle?
And those hidden picture activities too.
Oh, yeah, those are good. They have to really look at the picture.
Yeah.
To find the things.
So it's using their visual...
it's using all of it.
Discrimination and closure.
It really is.
What about kids who struggle with handwriting specifically?
Yeah. Oh, for handwriting, tracing is really good.
Okay.
And, letter formation exercises.
Okay.
You can find worksheets or even have them trace in sand.
Oh, I like that.
Or shaving cream.
It's multisensory.
It is.
Yeah.
Makes it fun.
Yeah, and speaking of multisensory, you can use like those textured letters or the raised line paper, especially for those kids who are having trouble forming those letters.
It gives them that extra feedback, through their fingers.
And for older kids who are ready for something a little harder, you could do those fill-in-the-blank exercises.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
You can even use, like, stuff from their textbooks.
Absolutely.
Or workbooks.
Yeah, yeah.
These are great ideas.
The key is making it fun, right?
Right. It shouldn't feel like work.
It shouldn't.
And it doesn't have to be complicated either.
No, not at all.
Even just a few minutes a day
can make a big difference.
Can make a difference over time.
Yeah.
And I think consistency is key too, right?
Absolutely.
Just make it part of their routine.
Yeah, make it a habit.
Whether it's during homework.
Yeah.
Or playtime. Or even bedtime.
And if they're really struggling.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to get some help.
Reach out to a professional.
Yeah. Occupational therapists. Educational therapists. They're great.
They can really provide those more targeted strategies.
Yeah. They can assess what the child needs and make a plan just for them.
So you're not alone on this journey.
No, you're not.
There are people and resources out there.
And remember, visual closure is just one piece of the puzzle.
It's all connected, right?
It's all connected.
It works with, auditory processing, language skills, even emotional regulation.
That's a great point.
Yeah. It all works together.
So when we're supporting our kids...
we need to think about the whole picture.
A holistic approach, yeah.
Exactly. That's the word I was looking for.
That's it.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into visual closure, what are some key takeaways for parents?
Well, I think the biggest thing is if you see your child struggling, don't assume it's because they're not trying.
Right, or that they're not capable.
Yeah, there could be something like visual closure that's affecting them.
And that doesn't mean something's wrong.
No, not at all.
It just means we need to figure out how their brain works and give them what they need.
Find the right tools.
One thing I keep thinking about is visual closure, it's not just about school.
That's so true.
It's about how they see the world, how they, solve problems.
Even how they express themselves.
Yeah, creatively.
It's really about seeing the whole picture.
And when we help them build these skills, it's not just for school, it's for life.
Absolutely. It's like giving them a superpower.
And every kid is different, right?
For sure.
So what works for one might not work for another.
Exactly.
So we have to be patient, watch them closely.
See what they respond to.
And find those activities that challenge them in just the right way. So to wrap up today, we want to leave you with a question. Something to think about.
To spark some ideas.
What if you could unlock your child's potential just by helping them see things differently?
What could they achieve if they had stronger visual skills?
We hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge and the motivation to start exploring that question.
To take action.
Thanks for joining us today.
And remember, you've got this.
See you next time.